what's going on, miners? Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm sitting in front of the camera here and I'm in my studio, and obviously there's a lot of stuff missing, right? You see all the walls, everything's kind of out of here. I have just the workbench behind me that I'm going to work around, and I still have my main desk here, obviously. But let's get into today's video. We're going to be talking about ready or redev, whatever you want to call it. Let's get right into it. So I was talking about a coin I was mining on my iPolo Mini. And this particular coin, I believe to be a rug pull, as well as they are doing malicious things with your nodes, right? That they do offer staking for nodes on this particular project. Now, I did use one of these, and you guys can check it out right here. It is a little mini PC, right? And it's a great tool if you're trying to keep like certain things off your main computers and keep stuff off your network. I just like using stuff like this, like either mini PCs or like servers, right? Because it's a great way to, once again, keep things off of our network. So anyways, I made a node, and well, I was trying to make a node. I was trying to, build it from the actual dependencies and actually build the node manually, but for some reason it wouldn't work. I wonder why. Well, there's another way that you can build the node, which I don't recommend this, and the only reason I did this is because I had several things going into play before I started the node, right? So let's just get into some network security stuff. If you guys are thinking about mining other projects or looking at other projects, any of that stuff. Number one, if you're going to visit a new project's like web page, do it on a separate computer off your main network. I would even suggest making a Windows VM and using that to actually visit the website, because there can be keyloggers on websites. Just don't be fooled by these things. I've had it happen to me, and I've actually had a keylogger on a legitimate business here in the US that's like a major corporation, and they still had keyloggers on their stuff. So just think what these other guys have that are just little crypto projects. Okay, so it's almost like, would you walk in to your new neighbor's house and just open the door just to see what's inside? You know what I mean? That's kind of what you're doing right there by going to their website. So once again, be very careful. And then what I did with this guy is I made a Proxmox installation, and then I had a VLAN going to the Proxmox, and then I made another VLAN trunking into Proxmox to make the VM on its own network. This way we keep everything just totally separated, right, from what we're trying to do. And if you guys haven't seen that video, I did recently teach you guys how to trunk VLANs inside of Proxmox. You guys can check that video up right up here. It's a great way to keep things off of our main network, because let's just face it, when you guys are downloading wallets and nodes and doing all these things in the crypto world, you are essentially trusting these developers with your guys' livelihoods here. You're trusting strangers that you've never met or talked to in your entire life, and you're trusting these people to have access on your network. Just think about that. That's how I look at it. It's a complete stranger. I've never talked to Joe. I don't know anything about Joe, and I'm just kind of letting him come into my house. Like, would you do that? Would you let a complete stranger just come into your house that you've never talked to or met before? Let him come in and meet the wife and kids? I mean, maybe everybody's different, but I wouldn't, right? So that's just me. Now, so what ended up happening was with the redev or ready, I don't even know what the real name is the other way you could do their node is they could do like an automated way where you actually go to this website, you put in your username and password and open up the SSH port to them, and they'll SSH in and automatically log in, right? They even had a little YouTube video. It's in one of their sections of their Discord. I am banned from their Discord because I flat out told them, hey, you fuckers are hackers and you're screwing over crypto miners. Flat out said that, insta banned, right? I can't get back in. So please stay away from this project. Be very, very careful. Do not do anything with read or redev or whatever you want to call it. Do not mess with this project, right? Because what happened is the VM, as soon as I did this, within like a minute or less, I couldn't even get into the VM inside this Proxmox here. They had already brute force their way through the password. Now the password I used on the VM was a weak one because I really didn't care about the VM, right? You could destroy it, I don't really give a shit. You know what I mean? It's to your crappy node on your project. It means nothing to me. Now, I did make a 25 character random password for the Proxmox because I seen that these things guys kept trying to log in and actually get into the Proxmox, which they were unsuccessful, right? Now, because the port was open, that I can't remember what number, I think it was like 3,000 or something like that. It was something weird. Because they were going to that port, if you left that port open, they were pinging your gateway so hard that it was just throwing my whole network through a loop, right? So I just, deleted the firewall rule that said, hey, enable this port, no big deal, right? But using your firewall to control these VLANs, because this way they couldn't talk to my actual network that's at my other mining location, right? As well as this Proxmox was on its own network, and then the VM inside of it was in its own network. So this is kind of like what you want to do with networking. No network is impenetrable. No network is Fort Knox, right? None of them in the world. Nothing is impenetrable. What you want to do is you see how I was adding layers, right? The VM was on its own VLAN. The Proxmox was on a VLAN. I had firewall rules. I hardened my router at my mining location, right? To where I disabled SSH directly to the router, and all of these things. You kind of just want to keep adding layers and layers and layers and layers, because there's two things that are going to happen when you actually have an attack like that happen. There's two things. One, they're going to get tired of trying to make their way in because you've set so many layers that they're just not going to be able to defeat them all. Or two, you know what I mean, is like they'll try to defeat them all, but you have way too many and it gives you a chance to catch it, so that way you can correct what's happening. So I just wanted to share this experience with you guys. If you guys want to link down below for this little guy here, I got this on the Amazon Prime Day for like $200. It's a Ryzen 5, 16 core, 12 thread, 16 gigs of RAM, and a terabyte NVMe for like $200. It was a steal. You find deals like this all the time on these little mini PCs, and these are great for making little Proxmox servers. So I would highly suggest you guys do that. If you guys have, your wallets and all these other, altcoins you guys are mining here, please do not keep them on your personal computer. You are entrusting these developers to be like acting in good faith, right? That's like why that thing prompts you when you install the core wallets, is because Windows doesn't recognize them as a reputable, publisher, right? Because they're not. So just keep that in mind. So I just wanted to share my experience with you guys. Now, it worked out for me because I did the preventative measures to kind of counteract this, what was going to happen, right? I was able to take on that risk. Now, what happened if little Timmy were to make that same node at his house? What would happen to him, right? What would happen to little Timmy right there? Well, now they'd be totally in his network. They'd be keylogging the shit out of everything. They'd probably have a bunch of financials, and little Timmy would be screwed, okay? It only takes one time from one wallet or one node or anything like that on your network. So just be really, really careful, guys. If anybody asks for SSH access into any of your nodes or wallets or rigs, don't give that access. As well as if you have any core wallets of brand new projects that are coming out, please keep them off your network. If you even want like a simple solution, and maybe you're not a network engineer, maybe you don't know anything about networking, you don't want to know about networking, it's not your thing, this is what I suggest. You get one of these, you get one of those cheap hotspots from like T-Mobile or Verizon, it's like those internet little hockey pucks, and just use that just for your wallets. And this way, it's on a completely different network that you only plug this into, and this way you're totally safe, that like you don't have to worry about all these, your Amazon account and like all your financials being compromised, right? Because you're keeping the little hockey puck is on a totally different network connection than your main internet that comes into your house. So there's just another way you guys could stay safe. All right, this is the Mighty King giving you the most hashes, and I'll see you next time.